Hello everyone, welcome back to SwitchUp and to the video where we look at the highest rated games on the channel last month.
Yep, it's fair to say that we didn't cover as many reviews as we normally do last month. It was a short month, obviously February, and it was also half term, which always scuppers reviews to some extent. But we've got 6 games here to revisit and look at the scores obviously they got on the channel.
Absolutely, yeah, there are some interesting ones here despite there not being as many as usual, as Glenn said. What are they? Well, let's find out.
So starting in 6th place then for the month, we had Bandle Tale, a League of Legends story.
Yeah, see, I'd really wanted to love this. Like, I really did want to love this one when I saw it. I thought it looks amazing to me. I thought it was a really nice, cutesy art style. Sure, we've got 412 Sim Life games releasing per week on Switch, but I had high hopes, especially with Riot Forge being at the helm, you know. I know it was, I forget the name of the team that did this. The same guys that did Graveyard Keeper.
Yes, yeah.
I know it was their collaboration as well, and I love Graveyard Keepers, so I was just hoping for better than I think what we've got here. The real issue with it for me, and this isn't just going to be me saying the negatives, but I think it's important, the real issue is how confusing it can be. I tell you, something you always talk about, Glenn, is signposting in games and the importance of it. You know, it doesn't mean it has to hold your hand, but it does have to point you to where you need to go next in a way that's subtle enough to not feel like hand-holding.
Yeah, some implicit guidance.
Implicit guidance, exactly. But this fails to do that, so that during every tutorial, you're there going, what do I do next? And then there'll be something in a menu. So let's say there's an item in the menu you need to craft. What it'll do is it'll put a quest icon above the menu.
Right.
Not above the item you need to craft.
Right.
So you just know that somewhere in those 100 items, you must make one or you're not going to advance in the game.
Oh, dear me.
And that's just stupid.
Yeah.
Like, that's really a silly choice. I thought it was going to be just me. It was one of those where I kind of looked online at other opinions. I'd done my review, did all of that, and people were like, oh yeah, I really, really like this. And I'm like, no one's saying to me what's so obvious, like lacking with it. Now, is it something that you'll eventually learn and you'll learn every system? Yes, but the frustration to get there is real.
Yeah,
you're looking at 10 to 15 hours of a bit of a slog, you know, before you actually get to the other 25 hours where you've learned the systems. And for me, that's not overly enjoyable.
It's a shame, isn't it? Because there's been a few League of Legends games for various genres and a few different dev teams behind them. And for the most part, they've been very good, haven't they?
Yeah.
So it's a shame that this one falls slightly short, but I suppose it was inevitable. They've been quite ambitious in the reach of genres they've tried to spread themselves across.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I mean, obviously get the full story with the full review, but ultimately this got a SwitchUp score of 68%. In 5th place then we had Alisa Developer's Cut. Now this is a game that very much wants to take you back to the 90s survival horror, fixed camera perspectives, you know, that low res art style, which was obviously just necessary back then, but this is very much a choice this time round. And it does a lot of the things that those games did very well, but it does miss the mark a few times.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched you play this one. I played a tiny bit myself, and as I think we've said in another video, just for me, the quantity of enemies is a little bit too much, but it does still look like it has some real qualities.
Yeah, it does. It does. It has, you know, the puzzles are, I would say, interesting enough to make you want to keep going. The layout of the mansion that you find yourself in is quite grandiose and has that eerie feel to it. Aesthetically, it nails it. Thematically, it does very well. As you mentioned, it's the little things, the little nuances, like having too many enemies at once and then being too fast at times as well. But to the point where they're chasing you down a corridor that turns fear into frustration. And that's if you know, if I were to sum this game's shortcomings up in one word, it would be that. It's that frustration. You know, it just seems to just not be able to evoke that feeling of panic without making it become frustrating. But still a good game. I would definitely recommend this one to any fans of that old school survival horror style. Possibly wait for a sale just to, you know, balance out that frustration factor. But it got a SwitchUp score of 72%. Moving into the top 4 then, we had Promenade, or Promenade.
Yeah, Promenade, I think. I think Asden did this one for us, did he?
This was Holden, I believe.
Oh, this was Holden Green. What a great name that is.
Very good name.
Green. Yeah, so this is, as you can see, an old school platformer. Now, Holden described this as feeling a bit like one of the old school 3D platformers. I don't know if that's in regards to the fact you have to collect, you know, each stage you have to collect certain things.
The collectathon.
The collectathon feel to it.
Yeah.
I do think it's quite a beautiful looking game. I don't know if you've seen this one. You know, there's kind of pastel colours. It was 60 FPS. Like, I was a bit sceptical because computers are rubbish and it glitched out and it was like 5 FPS on my computer. But no, it is 60 FPS. Nice smooth animations. From what I gather from his review, it doesn't necessarily do anything massively new. You know, it's not setting the world on fire, but oftentimes you just want to play something that's very good in all areas, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely right. And it's nice to get games that kind of combine the classic 2D platforming style with attributes that you would think of when you think of 3D platformers, such as that collectathon aspect. You know, to put them into one game together is a nice thing to do. And you are right, it did look lovely. Those pastel colours were blinding, to be fair. Right, in a minute, when the score flashes up, there will be no score due to a technical glitch on this review, but this got a SwitchUp score of 82%.
Yeah, that technical glitch was me saying the wrong score and then having to delete it because I added things up wrong. So, yeah, well done, me. Good job. You had one job, Mark.
Never mind. Moving on to third place then, and in third place we had Mario vs Donkey Kong. Now this of course is a remake of a Game Boy Advance game from back a number of years now, about 20 years ago, which is crazy. And this is a puzzle platformer where you play as Mario as he's trying to retrieve his little toy Mario mechs that he's made that Donkey Kong has stolen and run off.
He's made
with.
mechs of himself.
Yeah, he's a bit pretentious, isn't he?
He's a narcissist.
He is really. I mean, he should have at least made a Luigi one, even if he sold that one for half
Princess
the price.
Peach.
Yeah, no, just Mario ones.
Wow.
He's got a whole factory where he just makes Mario robots. What an arsehole.
Exactly.
But yeah, so you go through the levels. You have to collect, or there are extra collectibles that just add that challenge. You know, there are presents, I believe they were. You have to get a key, get to the door, carry on. Obviously, you go for a number of different worlds, different themes, different enemies, etc. Now, this is a very clever game. It was a clever game back then. Very good level design. Holds up very well to this day. Now, what I will say is, in terms of challenge. Now, I completed the game getting all of the collectibles in about 5 hours, you know, an abundance of lives left. But when you do complete it, you have like the New World Plus mode, which uses the same level layouts, but it changes how you have to complete them. This time you have one of your little mechs with you and they need to accompany you to the door. So it does change up how you play them.
Yeah.
And there are expert levels that you can unlock too. So there's definitely some post-game value here. It just depends how much stamina you've got to keep going after seeing the end credits. Do you know what I mean? But a very good game. Just bear that in mind and make your decision based off that, I would say. But if you're looking for a fun puzzle platformer, this is a way to go. It's got 83%.
Lovely. All right, in joint first place then. So the top two are both first, both excellent games. We have Tomb Raider 1 to 3, the remastered collection, which came to us from Aspire. And I was very surprised / impressed by the quality of their remaster. Now, as you saw, you can switch between the old and the new on the fly, which I always like. You know, it gives you, there's something nice about it. It's
very satisfying.
It is satisfying. That's exactly the word I'm looking for. It's still the old games in every way, so if you want to play it that way, you can crack on. They do show their age quite a bit, as you know, goes without saying, just in terms of pacing and enemy designs and things like that, but still, they hold up. You know, there's some good platforming in here. I will say that the modern controls can be a little bit, it's an understatement. The modern controls aren't very good. They're not the best. So I think there's a little bit of tweaking they could have done there.
Yeah.
They got the visual lovely, and then the controls still feel a bit jank. But in their defence, it's one of those games where I think by design, the engine and the controls are like built in synchronicity, you know?
I agree. I think that if you are to buy this game and you have no love for Tomb Raider at all, you've heard all about them from back in the day, whatever, you almost have to resign yourself to having to use the old control scheme. You know, you can try with the new, but you'll find it harder. You know, bizarrely, you almost have to accept you're going to have to go tank control and play it as you had to play it back then if you're going to ultimately get some fun out of it, even if that seems counterintuitive to do so, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's, even with those old controls, it still feels good. It took me a while, but I did eventually get the new controls, you know, and they can be usable. It's just, it doesn't feel like the same game, almost. You know, there are certain things you had to like creep to the edge of a platform and then do the jump just that way. It doesn't feel the same with the modern controls. No. So yeah, go back, try it the way we tried it. Yeah, try it our way. That one scored a SwitchUp score of 87%, and have probably worked out what the top game scored now, haven't they?
Yep.
It's upsetting.
As if by magic.
Yeah.
Also at joint first, we had Star Wars Dark Forces. A number of Star Wars games have made their way across from back in the day, haven't they? This one first releasing back in 1995, I believe it was.
Yeah, this is from Night Dive Studios, who interestingly are one of the few legitimate sources of what's it called when you're keeping games alive? Preservation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Star Wars obviously is an older title that Night Dive have preserved for all of us with their Kex engine, runs silky smooth. I loved these games back in the day. I still like them. It still blows my mind that we have 100 farming sims and we might get one Proteus, you know, one old school first-person shooter. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe these are much harder to make in terms of design and stuff. But I would have thought like a sim would be, or maybe they just want to make farming sims.
Yeah.
But I love them, and I think they're easy to. I don't know. I just really enjoy the style. Go around, shoot loads of things. Yes, please. Get a few powers. Thanks very much. Lots of hidden items. Yeah. So yeah, there's a few little tweaks and things you can do as well to make it look fancy, but nothing on the level of the Tomb Raider one. But I mean, if I had to pick between them, I'm all about those old school first-person shooters.
Yeah,
for sure. That one scored a SwitchUp score of 87%.
Dragging out the inevitable there, weren't you?
I was. Well, because my brain always thinks per centime. That's where it came from, isn't it? Is that right? Per centime? Am I going mad? I'm pretty sure it was a currency.
Oh, I don't know, mate. There you go. If it was, then yeah, thank you for enlightening
me. And if it
me.
wasn't, I'm so sorry.
If it wasn't, what on earth are you talking about? More. So there we have it. There's another month of Nintendo Switch scores on SwitchUp. Interesting, the top three were older games that have been remade or remastered to some degree. Happens quite often, actually.
Old but gold, mate.
Old but gold, there we go. And it's also quite interesting, just before we wrap up, that going back to last year's, when we did like the round-up for the year of the highest scores for each month, I think the first 4 or 5 months of the year were all RPGs.
Right.
Whereas so far, albeit obviously we've only had January and February, we haven't had one yet.
No.
So yeah, interesting. Don't forget, if you're looking for eShop credit to pick any of these games up, you can get your eShop cards at our website, switchup.gg. Get yourself 5% back in cash back doing so. There's also links down there for physical games. You've got Red Art Games down there. They do some good stuff, actually. Nice. You get 10% off if you use the code stated. And PlayAsia, also another 5% off from them. Again, use the link, use the code.
Absolutely. Now, yeah, while February was a bit of a, a bit of a wet weekend in terms of like amount of releases, March is looking much better. You got some of my favourite games of all time coming out next week, including Kingdom Come Deliverance. So expect some nice reviews.
For sure. A quick thank you to our patrons and our channel members for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, and until next time, happy gaming.